Okay, there. It shows we are live. Hey guys, welcome up. Well, oh my. Hey guys, welcome to What's Up Wednesday. I'm so excited that you are all here. And those of you who are coming in watching the replay, thank you so much for being here too. I appreciate each and every one of you. I am super excited because I have Lynn with Bucket List Homestead as my guest today. She and I were just back screen talking about prices and let's see. Oh, no. I don't think we want to do that, do we? I was like, I'm gonna play around. I know there's a way where I can like take my face off. Okay, I'm gonna experiment for a second, guys. No, that's solo layout. I don't know. There's a way where I can just have like a logo instead of my face. I'm gonna figure that out one of these days.
Yeah, I haven't done that yet on any of mine yet either. So
I got my logo in there and I did it one time and then I don't know. Hello, Elaine. Hello, Rena. Hello, Michelle. I'm assuming it's you. Maybe JJ too. Thanks for coming in. We're just, I know it takes just a minute for it to get shared out there on the YouTube world, but Lynn and I were just talking backstage about prices of food and going out, and because she was here before me. I hate when that happens when my guests arrive to the chat before me.
I am a notorious early person. Like I always show up early for everything.
I was so proud of myself. Yesterday, I was 30 minutes early I was a guest on game night with Kettle Kitchen. And I was like, because usually I'm sliding in like the week before. I came in like 6 minutes late because I was stuck doing something outside with one of the animals. And today it was canning. So hello, Janet's Cruising Homestead. Welcome to the chat. Well, we've got a few people in here. So I usually start out my chats with my guest, letting you introduce yourself and tell a little bit about you, your story of why you started YouTube, maybe how you got your name. I know you've told the story before, but maybe you could at least give us a short version because some of my guests might not have heard the story before.
Sure. My name is Lynn Guitar, actually, and yes, that really is my last name. I live in Eastern Ontario, Canada, with my husband, David, and our two children, Grace and Aiden. And David is the Canadian. I'm actually originally from the States. Born and raised in Maine. And I met David on a blind date when I was 14, and we've been together ever since. We actually celebrate our 30-year wedding anniversary is this August this year.
Oh, congratulations.
So, high school sweetheart. Yep. So it does work. It does,
Yeah, we celebrated 25 years this past year, and we're high school sweethearts too. So yes, it does.
It does. Yep. I always say we grew up together, right? Like
yes, me too. Right? So, because you do.
Yep. And David, he retired from full-time military. He's a 30-year veteran of the Canadian Armed Forces. And he retired from full-time military almost 2 years ago. And he's now with the reserve. And I love it because I have him home because he's done several tours. He did Afghanistan 3 times, just Afghanistan. So it's nice to have our two children are also, we have Aiden, who is our youngest. He's 16. He has Tourette syndrome. And our daughter, Grace, who is 19, she has autism. So it's a crazy household.
The challenges that
it's actually, as they're getting older, it's less challenging, but then it's challenging in different ways, if that makes any sense. So,
yeah.
So we bought this home that we're in right now. This is actually our first home because we lived in military housing for 20 years and we finally had enough of that. We came about, this is why our homestead is called Bucket List Homestead. I was diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma cancer the first time. And we made a bucket list of things that we wanted to do and we're going to do when I got better, not if. David never let me say if, it was always when. And on our list was we finally wanted our own home. We'd had way enough time living in military. We are not city in town people with people on top of one another. Like we're just, it was enough. And I wanted chickens so bad. And I wanted to
Oh,
have a huge garden, not just what I could make do with, you know, in a small area. And we wanted land for the kids to play because they were still fairly young. And we found this place in 2014, February, I think it was. And then in May, I found out my cancer came back. And so our first whole year in this home, we did no homesteading because I was sick. I was battling again. I'm proud to say I'm actually a 4-time now cancer survivor. I've had cancer 4
really?
times. Yeah.
Wow, I did not realize. I just knew the 2 times. I
Yeah.
didn't realize.
Yeah. I actually was, I had skin cancer twice. And then during the craziness of the world, 2020, apparently the Lord didn't think I had enough to deal with. And I had cancer again in 2020. So
Now, was it the
that was,
non-Hodgkin's that came back?
nope, this was a totally new one that actually came because of the chemos I received my second
Oh,
battle. Yeah.
now, I did not know that chemo could cause cancer.
Yeah, I had a
Isn't that a
60%
little
chance.
ironic?
So I went 5 years. So I kind of knew I was on borrowed time. I kind of knew I wasn't surprised, but I was surprised. It was kind of like I kind of knew it wasn't that shocking. Thankfully, surgery fixed that cancer, so I didn't have to go through chemo. We caught it early enough that surgery fixed it. If we had gone longer, I probably would have had to go through everything again. So I'm very grateful at least I had that. But 4 times is enough, Lord, if you're listening.
Yeah.
So so that's how.
Third time's a charm. I guess you just got to be special.
Yeah. Well, they say what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. I should be able to bench press a truck.
Yeah.
So so that's how. And we wanted a slower pace of life. I just, I didn't grow up in a big town by any means. I mean, compared to David, I was a city girl because David grew up on a farm and in the country. But my little hometown had maybe at the height of it, maybe 4,000 people. I didn't even think it had that many growing up, but I guess my father said it did. It just didn't seem like it.
Yeah.
But I love gardening. Like, I wish I could put into words how much I love gardening. It just it feeds my soul. It really does.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I pray in my garden. I talk to God while I'm in my garden. And I love it. And to feed my family too from what I grow is very rewarding. Though the kids, I will admit, the kids don't eat probably 90% of what I grow. It's mostly David and I because of their issues come a lot of diet issues. So, but they love the baking I do. So that's how we came to be living here. We thought it's funny how man plans, God laughs.
Yeah.
We really thought this was going to be our forever. Like, we're never moving again. We finally bought a home. We're staying here. But in the back of my head, I would always hear, because it's never truly felt like home. We are not from Ontario. This is just where we've ended up in David's military career. And we've decided when Aiden's done high school, which is in 2 years, we are probably going to put our place up for sale and move back down east to New Brunswick.
Wow.
And it's scary, the thought of starting over. So that's why, luckily, where we're looking, it's already set up for homesteading, a lot of the properties and stuff. So hopefully it won't be too much starting over. But that's what we're hoping anyway.
Well, it's good to think about those things now, though, because like so many of us get all excited and plant like a ton of fruit trees. And then you don't get to see the fruit because you end up moving somewhere different because it wasn't the right you have. Yeah. Well, I guess you can take joy in knowing that the next family that comes along.
I will say we planted dwarf apple trees, which actually give you fruit in 3 to 5 years. This is the 3rd year this year. So we might see some before we move.
Yes. So that's great.
I've cut all because I actually did do 2 pear trees last year, but they died.
Mine did too.
Yeah, I thought they weren't doing great when I planted them, and I was really upset because the place I ordered them from sent them to me almost a month sooner than they were supposed to. And
Oh,
I'm like, how I
no.
can't plant these in the ground. How are they going to survive? And they didn't. Anyway, I was going to order more, and I'm glad I didn't. I'm glad something told me last year, wait a second, because so we've kind of scaled back on that. That being said, we are in the middle of a huge garden build right now, which we're hoping actually in the long run, not only will I get to enjoy it for a couple of years and use it, but hopefully it'll be a selling point. Because I would think anyone who wants to move out in the country, I would think maybe it might be people who want a garden. So
especially now after the pandemic, it just seems like people are thinking about things like that a little bit more, like where the food comes from. And with food prices, finding out you can do things yourself a little more.
yep,
So,
absolutely. It kind
yeah.
of stinks for the rest of us, though. Have been doing this for a long, long time, because then we're scrabbling to find seeds, and we're having a hard time finding supplies, and then the price of all that goes up too. So
Yeah, I saw something. I don't know if it was on Facebook or what it was. I don't get on Instagram very much at all, but I do get on Facebook and scroll sometimes. And it was something about the prices of plants, how high they are going to be this year. And so all these people have started gardening, and so the plant prices have gone up. You're able to get the seeds this year. So you technically could have started your own seeds and had your own plants. But many young gardeners, I guess you'd say, aren't at that point yet to do those things. And so it's almost like they're being taken advantage of because the seeds are available this year. Last year, you can understand higher prices because,
yeah.
The demand and how that
I know
works.
starts here. I actually, because I do get some starts. There are just, some I do. I'm lucky that I have like literally neighborhood nurseries, like people out here who've got and so their price, and I'd rather give the money to them than a big box store. I think it was Luke, MI Gardener. I wonder if because he was sharing on his Facebook the prices of starts that people, and he's like, this is ridiculous. I know.
Gardener. Yes.
I was looking at strawberry starts at Lowe's last week. One was $15.
That's ridiculous. I
I
used to be able to get a whole flat of them for like $5-6.
I went and I looked around. I'm like, there's got to be some bare root strawberries here somewhere. And I found them.
Okay.
They had bare root strawberries, packs of 10 for $8. I said, okay, that's a little bit more reasonable. That's what I was looking for. But I just saw a quick question here, and I can't believe this. What a small world. I think it was Bev who asked what my husband's trade was. And she said that she's a tech. He is a traffic tech. He became a load master, but he is the same as you. He was a traffic technician, and he graduated to load master. Right Very there. Cool. What was husband's trade in the military? Bev Botkin? Yeah, that is so cool. What a small world.
I'm way behind. I had some other questions for you. Okay, we'll start here where I was going to start. Just people wanted to share a few things. Janet has Tourette's too, and mine stayed as it got old.
My husband has it. My husband has Tourette's too. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So I don't know a lot about Tourette's, but is it one of those things where it just kind of affects each individual differently? Like it can.
It can.
This is what it is.
I will say we fought for a long time because I knew something was going on with Aiden. I just didn't know what. And when they first said Tourette's, I looked at the specialist and I said, but he's not like swearing at a turn. And because I thought that's what Tourette's was. And of course, once you get these diagnoses, you become an expert. I've since found out that less than 10% of people with Tourette's have that. It's actually called coprolia. And that's what everyone automatically thinks. But for Aiden, it's tics. He has physical tics. Sometimes they're very noticeable. Sometimes they're not. He does have impulse control issues sometimes. Sometimes I remember when he was little and we were in a store and there was a man in front of us and he had hair down to his behind. It was gorgeous hair, like women would kiss it. And had earrings and everything. And I could see my 6-year-old's brain. And I'm like, Lord, please let us get out of the store before he sees anything. Please, Lord, let us get out of here. Cause I could, and not, Mommy, is that a man or a woman in front of us?
Yeah, but any kid that's 6 years old is gonna do that. I mean,
Yeah. He
oh,
was very loud. I mean, and that's just a
yeah,
sample. Like you could see it coming, and he just
yeah.
literally could not. He knew it. He couldn't keep it from coming out. And as he got older, different things like that would happen. And he had anger issues, like triggers that, if he get triggered, he'd have a hard time like dealing with things. And luckily, that's gotten much better as he's gotten older. So there's a lot, and there's dietary issues, which kind of are like the same as autism. Like there's a lot of similarities between Tourette's and autism, which is what they thought for a long time for him. So
See, I didn't know that part. I've watched a couple specials, but oh, my dogs are gonna bark. That got traffic going on out there. But I watched a special where it was saying that, and they never mentioned about the food things, but like to cook and stuff, like sometimes you can't control, and like you might throw an egg or whatever and stuff like that was one of the person's things that she was dealing with. And then another one said that they can kind of control it for a bit, but then when they get home, they have to just let it all out.
And like Aiden said, if he tries to fight them, they get worse.
Yes.
So he just, and I remember the specialist saying, well, we can put you on medication. And Aiden looked at us, and we went home and we talked about it. And the side effects for one of the pills had like 10 pages. I kid you not. Like I was horrified. And he looks at me, he goes, Mommy, he said, my tics don't bother me. If they bother other people, that's their problem, not mine. And I said, that's exactly right, Dave.
Good for him.
And we are lucky that in the sense that sometimes his tics they're certainly not as severe as some people. Some people look like they're having full out seizures because they're so severe and they hurt themselves, which Aiden has hurt himself with some of his tics, but we're lucky that it's, but he does get comments sometimes. Someone will say, why are you doing that with your face? Or why are you making that noise with your nose or your throat? And he tells them, he goes, I can't help it. I have Tourette's and it's a tic and it's happening. So yeah.
That does sound a lot like autism too then. There's tics with autism, right?
There's
behavioral
strumming. Yeah, strumming and things. And I will say Grace's diagnosis came out of left field. Again, since she was 10 and she's now almost 20, actually since she was 3. We had issues, and we were always just told she was very shy. She was very shy, and she'd get very upset because she's like, it's not that I'm shy, it's more than that. And anyway, after many, many years, we got a diagnosis just this past year, and I looked at her and I'm like,
really?
Why didn't anybody pick up on this?
Yeah.
Like we had her to so many specialists, so many teachers. Like it's just crazy that it went, and I feel guilty because I'm like, how did I not catch that? And she would have had a much different school experience if she'd been diagnosed properly when she was
you
young.
were doing everything you could, so you can't but
yeah.
So Homestead in the Woods with D says there's lots of people you don't know. Yeah, there's a few new people on here today, so welcome everybody and thank you for being here.
I think a few, because I did post on my channel I was going to be over here, so people come over.
Good. Maybe some of your followers came over to say hi. I'm going to scroll real quick and make sure we don't have any questions or comments that we need to get to. Oh, I do see one from Dark Lord Minute I'll go back to. Amish or Mennonite nurseries. They are really awesome too. I went to one on a travel across Kansas trip, and it was a busload of people, and it was just a day trip. And I got some grapes from an Amish nursery, and they lived through a fire. So I was so impressed. I wish I could go back, but they're not there anymore. So I'd say that that'd be a great place.
I think we have one Mennonite nursery in the area. But when we went through, it was Sunday, and of course they weren't open, which I don't have a problem with that. Yeah. I admire it actually. And I have to remember to try to go back there and see what
we have a Mennonite one. And then we have Apostolic Christian one also.
Okay.
Close to us. So I guess they'd be about the same. But they're good nurseries too. Back up here. Something towards you. Ooh, Lynn, if you're doing hydroponics, there's a channel that was on Garden State Gardener that does it for cheap and shows you how. Okay.
No, I don't do hydroponics. Just making sure mine don't start
Normally
barking.
I go, mine will make yours start. Normally I
Yeah.
go out to the farm stand if I think something's going on, but I had customers coming. No. But then here comes the sprayer guy, and he was in the front yard, and they barked a bunch. Well, now he's moved down to the back field back there. So I'm like, oh, of course it had to happen while we're going
they're doing their job. It's just
They
it's
are.
a pain. Yeah.
So we had to bring them all in the house because I don't want them exposed to all that,
Yeah.
And so I'm like, bring them all in, and so I apologize for that. So if I have to keep muting, you just come up with some sort of conversation with the crowd. Oh my goodness. I'll scroll down to the bottom again, and then we can kind of get towards the main topic we talked about. I didn't get this one. I got called because of my D sounds. I do some.
I think
Have a hard
so.
time with it. I'm guessing you're talking about the Tourette's and the way you speak, that maybe you had problems as a child getting made fun of or something.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, Gail.
Hi, Gail.
Woof woof is right. Oh, those darn things.
Wow, it's the same. Yeah. And of course, since they've told us that, it makes sense. Like when they were asking us all these questions as a child and things, and I'm like, yeah. And I'm like, wow. And then of course, everything they give me to read, they say, here, take this and read it. And I'm like your picture I said to Grace, your picture could be in this book. So yeah, she's obviously, like the specialist said, she's high functioning autism, which is why it can be harder to diagnose it because, but yeah,
well, there's a whole spectrum.
Mom a terrible thing.
Yeah. All that kind of stuff really intrigues me. My daughter and I both have a passion. I used to run a daycare, and I had several special needs kids because a lot of people wouldn't take them on. Yeah. They wouldn't, it was more work than they were able to handle or knew how to. And I was willing to go do training and have specialists come in and teach me things. And I was more than happy to, work on therapies and things. I don't know.
I had a daycare too for years. And before I had my kids, I had one. Yeah. Before I had kids, and when I had my kids, I had it. I did have some special needs kids before, but then when I was dealing with my own son, and at the time he was at the height of it, I had a couple people who didn't tell me their children were special needs.
Oh.
And when we figured it out quite hard by the third time they were here, and I had to tell them, like, I cannot, and I felt terrible, but I'm like, I had so much on my plate with my own son, and then trying to take care, and then to not tell the daycare worker they have it, that is the dirtiest thing in the world.
Not know, and then you find out together versus knowing and not telling people. I was lucky that, well, the one that is coming to mind that I had the longest, he actually had people that would come in and would teach me, because he was more of an environmental delay.
Okay,
so it was very much things I knew I could do to help him.
That's mostly what, and I'm telling you, people who do it, like do it, say, no, I'll absolutely, it's like people who take in foster children who are special, really special. God bless them. Like, I am so thankful there are people who will do that, because it takes a special kind of person to do it. It really does. Oh, I think you're muted.
Sorry. I probably unmuted it during the dog barking. No. Anyway, they were doing the foster to adopt thing, and they had a little autistic boy, and they kept him for a little while, but he got to go back to mom, which is good. That's what we want, right?
Yep.
but she truly, what she really wants is severe special needs. She's a nurse. And so she takes on babies and works in home with them that have like breathing tubes
Oh
and
my
all that
goodness.
stuff that intimidates people, but
Yeah.
it's a serious passion of hers, and she really wants to adopt a few. And
Oh,
I'm like,
God bless her.
you just
Yeah.
had your baby, not even 2 months ago. Give your husband a minute.
Yeah. Yeah.
And maybe, work towards it. But she's, like they're gonna redo their deck. And she's like, well, since we're redoing it, I'd like to put in a ramp. And, she wants to be ready if that's what were to happen. Well, we've gotten way off and we're about halfway through the
This happens with me on my lives all the time.
well, I really don't care. It's not like I have a set. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't have a sheet. I had someone ask me when I said, would you like to be on? They're like, do you have a sheet of questions that you can send me to be prepared? I'm like, no, I just go with the flow. It's
Yeah.
just whatever.
Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. It depends on what I'm doing.
Yeah. Oh, sign language is awesome.
Yeah. And I just wanted to say, Barb, I mean, our daughter's situation is almost exactly the same. She has severe, like our specialist said, Grace has got the worst case of severe social anxiety he has seen in over 30 years and I'm like, well, thank you, by the way, for telling our daughter that, because that made her feel this big.
Yeah.
But she did need help with math. Grace has a huge learning disability with math. Anything else, she was A+ student. Math, and she comes by that kind of, quite frankly, naturally, because I'm not the greatest math genius. So
I can't do the new math. Can't do it. I'm just going to say it right now.
Yeah.
I don't know
So,
if
but
you feel
yeah.
that in Canada, but in the US, they've changed the math and I don't like it.
Oh, here I remember Grace came home in 2nd grade with her math homework and I sobbed because I'm like, I'm a grown woman. I can't figure out. My husband was in Afghanistan and we actually FaceTimed him to help with homework because we couldn't. And I went into the teacher and the teacher said, okay, Lynn, she goes, you're like the 8th parent. She goes, the teachers hate it too. The teachers hated it, but they had to teach it. And it was like, you're doing 3 times as much work to get the answer.
I agree. I agree. I'm just so glad my kids are graduated. I'm done.
Oh, I'm just so grateful that Aiden is I always say, I think God, for kids that have special needs, he always gives them some extra things to help make up for it. And for Aiden's case, is like he's a great student. He's got, he's great with math and science. He's got that kind of brain. So I'm like, that's I think that's his plus for having to live with what he does. So
that's awesome. That is so awesome. Well, one of the things I did want to mention when you came on today and talk about a little bit was the collaboration that you're putting on. So I didn't tell you the backstory of how I met Lynn. Last fall, I was in the tractor harvesting, and I don't know if one of your videos came up or what, but I just started binge watching you. And you were like doing a furniture project and just all kinds of stuff. And I'm like, I like her. I can get with what she's got going on, and then you were in the kitchen doing stuff. And I'm like, all the stuff I love to do. And I really don't know how we made the connection, but I was on a collaboration that you hosted.
The first one I did was What Homesteading Means to Me.
Yes. And I don't know how it got on there, whether I reached out and said, hey, I'd like to do it, or if we had a mutual friend. But anyway,
I think that one I kind of did like I did, and I'm open. Like when anyone ever emails me, I'm like, sure, come on.
Yeah, I don't even remember, but I remember that was the time frame about when I met you. Yeah. But how long have you had a YouTube channel?
It was a year in end of November, so just a little over a year. And if you had told me I was going to be doing this, like even 3 years ago, I would have laughed my hind end off at you because I would have been like, no way.
So what made you decide to go ahead and do it? What made you take the step?
So, of course, the end of the world happened, 2020. And because I was diagnosed with cancer again, I got late. I had to go off work early because of the craziness of the world, because they weren't going to do my surgery if I was around the public because of COVID. And I ended up losing my job altogether.
Oh no.
And I just, I had so much time to finally, like, I was finally able to devote again, because it'd been a few years, I was able to devote any time of day, all day, if I wanted, to my garden and everything. And I started watching YouTube. Yeah, yes, yeah, very blessed.
Yeah.
And Aiden was starting to have more issues too. And at the time, David was still full-time military, and one of us needed to be home because we never knew we had to go to school.
Yeah. Not exactly the way you wanted it to happen, but
right.
place.
So I started watching a lot of YouTube, because before 2020, I had a YouTube account, but I barely watched. I'd watch maybe a music video while I was cleaning the house or something. And I start seeing all these videos about homesteading. And I'm like, was that what we've been doing all these years? I didn't know that's what it was called.
Oh, really?
And I'm watching all these. Yeah. And I'm watching all these fabulous. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm not weird. There's more people like me out there. Because, in this time of age, it's not always seem as a cool thing to do for a woman to want to be a mother and a wife and make meals and keep a home. And it's though, isn't that the whole point of feminism? We get to be what we want.
Right.
So to see people doing that, I was like gobsmacked. I'm like, this is cool. But then when I really started noticing, there wasn't a lot of Canadian content with homesteading. It was a lot of Americans, which I still watch all my American homesteaders. I love you all. Like I said, I am originally from the States, but some of the things like the grocery hauls or some of the rules you have with animals and garden, I couldn't relate to it because so I thought for a good 6 months before I did my channel, because I was such a nervous wreck, my family was like, you're just going to do it. I really toyed around with the idea of like, maybe because my dad always said to me, if you find something you're passionate about, share it, right? Like share it with people. If you're passionate about it, share it. And this is definitely something I'm passionate about. I want people to, even if it's just one tomato plant, my gosh, how you feel so raised. I hope I'm always this excited every year when I'm picking my vegetables and things. Like the whole area, the whole neighborhood hears it, because I'm like, oh, my tomatoes are. So, but I just so for 6 months I put off, and then finally my son, he said, I'm recording your video and we're putting it up, Mom. No more choice. And I literally thought I was going to be sick when we finally uploaded it. And then I started getting subscribers and people watching. I'm like, are people seriously going to watch this? And then before I knew it, and I love it. I mean, the friendships I've met, the people I've been able to meet. Social media and technology is not always a great thing, but it can be a great thing. And this is one of the things, and this is one of the things that's brought me, like, we actually have our homesteading conference for our area next weekend. And
will this be the first for you?
This is the second one. This is our second. And again, the lady who's putting it on, Marcy, she's like, oh, the Americans all have these homesteading conferences. Why don't we have any? So she said, let's try it. So this is the second year, and it's going to be so fabulous this year. I'm so excited. And all my Canadian YouTube friends who I've met, they're all going to be there. So we get to see, each other again. So that's how it started. I honestly, if you had told me, really, I would have laughed, because I would have been like, you're all crazy. I'm not going to have a YouTube channel. And it still seems weird sometimes when someone says, I'm like, yeah, I have, because David will talk to, he'll brag me up or whatever. And I'm like, yeah, I have a YouTube channel. Like, I don't know if I'm supposed to be proud of that or not.
I know. When I did my grocery haul, which we're going to get into all that in a second, it was so funny because I was doing some videoing, and I looked over at my daughter and I go, are you embarrassed that I'm doing this? Because I did a little clip out in front of the store.
Yeah, I watched it.
I was like, well, too bad.
It's funny. My kids are such hams that it doesn't really bother them.
Yeah. I mean, if I get serious enough to get like a real camera, because I just use my phone. That's just
me
what
too.
I do.
It's on my wish list. I've had it in my to be saved later cart.
Forever.
For months.
I have spent so much money to get like a microphone thing that hooks into my phone,
The
and it's supposed
lighting,
the duo thing. It doesn't work with the iPhone. I don't know. So I've got this piece of equipment that's
okay,
useless.
yeah.
I wish I could share it with someone because it doesn't no good for me because I read later that it doesn't work. Buddy Luke actually figured it out, wouldn't you know? A young kid.
Yeah. I mean,
Hello, welcome.
I'd love to have an actual camera, and that is my hope because,
Yeah.
one, just so I can have my phone back as a phone.
Yes.
You know, don't you love it when you're recording and somebody
calls?
calls?
Yes, or you're looking at a recipe and you need it on your phone, and
while
I'd
you're
rather than having to
recording.
print it out all the time because that's what I had to do today. I had to print it out, even though I knew what I was doing. I just, yeah, I would love to.
I get nervous too because I'm recording a recipe. It's like I know this by heart, but all of a sudden, because I'm recording it, I've forgotten everything.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that's my goal. That's my thing. That if I get monetized, that I might look towards that. Although my husband did buy one of those GoPros.
Yep.
So I think he pretty much has taken it over. He did get me my own little card, but I don't know if they're really good for making videos.
There are. I have a couple of YouTuber friends who use their That's what they use, and they swear by it.
Okay.
I tried. I mean, it was a knockoff, so it was nowhere near the price of. I didn't like it. It wasn't for me. I just didn't care for it. Like I'm old school. I kind of like to have a little bit more substantial, camera in my hands or whatever.
Whatever I get, I want to be able to see myself because I know the quality of what I'm putting out is not as good because I do the selfie mode.
I do too.
So many times when I don't, it's not recording and I don't know. And I don't want to go through another 3 hours of canning something just to find out I don't have all the stuff. You know what I mean?
I know. Yep.
So I just do the selfie mode, but I think I have that GoPro thing. I haven't even played with it. I think it has so you can see yourself and it's not. I don't know. Anyway, I was told that that's really good for outside stuff. So like when I'm doing projects outside, I don't know. I buy all this stuff. I don't know what I'm doing, but maybe I'll get a camera because I was watching one of my favorite channels today and she has new audio mic and it sounds so nice.
Oh, that's the thing.
I made everything look better because it sounded better.
I started using mics in the beginning, and half the time I'd forget to click the button back on when I would pause. Or this is one of the ones I got, if you can see it.
Oh,
it
yeah.
on. And the sound is good, but if I forget to click the button back, you got nothing. My actual, and even my built-in microphone won't pick me up.
Oh,
because this gets plugged into your phone. So I'm like, but Living Traditions, they have these really nice ones that they use outside. Those are the ones I'm trying to find. And I don't think they're on our Amazon. So, because I'd like to have that for outside because it can get noisy out here when I'm outside trying to record.
Okay. So, this is good to know. So like when you editing is where I get nervous about whether or not the GoPro will work with my editing software I'm used to because I just use iMovie. It comes free with your iPhone.
Yeah, see mine's an Android, so yeah. And that was a big learning curve. That was a big learning curve because watching YouTube and having a channel on YouTube are totally different.
Yeah.
The stuff I had to learn, the editing, thank God my son was in school doing different editing stuff. So he told me what editing program to buy and he helped me through it. And I was pretty proud because he was pretty proud of me. He's like, geez, Mom, you seem to know this pretty good. So I'm getting there. But yeah.
Michelle likes her road for sound.
And then in November, I got literally after I got monetized, I got hacked. And my channel was taken over.
That. And that was during the collab. You were trying to do this collab and then you got hacked and you're like, I felt so bad for you.
Longest 5 days of my life. I was so nervous. So luckily
There's really good scammers out there. I had that happen to me recently. I mean, I didn't get shut down or anything, but I mean, they're out there and they want you.
And they send me emails all the time wanting to do a promotion on and then I'm looking at you and I'm like, you're not even anything remotely related to homesteading. And then just the wording. And then 3 days later, I get another email from a different company. Everything's the same except the name of the company, like literally word for word. So it's like block. So It's a lot. So yeah, right in the middle of my first collab. Luckily, it was only 5 days, so it was early enough in the month. I was able to shuffle everyone around, so we were able to get through that collab. But I was like,
Yes. So Michelle says she uses what Living Traditions have. It must be called a road, she said. RHODE, I think.
I'm gonna write that down.
Let me go find her post. Oh, I'm finding Gail.
Here's mine.
Well, I know I saw it telling people to be safe. I must have scrolled way past it. Oh, here she is.
Oh, ROD. Okay, RODE. Okay, I will look that up.
And Jamie says she still uses her phone most of the time anyway.
Yeah, I think most people I know use their phones.
I like my phone. I have a newer one, and so I feel like it has fairly good quality.
I bought my phone last year, and I went in. I specifically because I didn't want Apple. I didn't want an iPhone. I wanted to stick with Android because it's what I know. And I have a love hate with Apple. The kids love them. I hate them. But I researched, and my phone, which is a Google Pixel, it had the second highest rating for camera after the iPhone. So I'm like, perfect. So I got my phone based on the camera.
Yeah.
Everything else about it's not so great, I got to tell you, but the camera's fabulous.
Yeah, I had Android once, and I just didn't know enough about it. But I've heard that everybody who has Androids, once they have them, they love them and they stick with them. I just didn't understand it.
To me, the kids are just brainwashed that Apple's the best and it has to be Apple. And So
around here, it seems
thank you. I'm glad I have someone else who's not.
There we go. There we go.
Frankly, I don't want to learn. Like, I literally have never had one. And my mother has one. And when she visits, the kids have to give her like a little tutorial because I'm like, Mom, I can't help you with any of that. I have no idea how to even go back a screen on your phone. I don't want to have to learn a new thing. Because I mean, the iPhone camera is amazing. Like the iMovie and stuff, that is pretty cool. It is amazing. But
I know it. I enjoy it, and I really don't at this point have any intentions on changing my editing program because everybody always asks what you use. I'm like, this is what was free. This is what I was using because I wasn't going to invest a ton of money and not know, how this was going to turn out. I'm not monetized yet, so
I didn't realize you weren't monetized yet.
No, I don't have my hours. I keep getting close, and then I'm not. You know how that.
Well. I will put some videos on for you and run you.
Well, thank you. That's sweet. I appreciate that. Only if you want to, but yeah.
Oh yes, no, I do it, and even if I can't I've watched a lot of your videos, so there'll be repeats. But I can just put it on, and I walk around and I do all my stuff while my videos go.
I'll do that sometimes for friends. Like before I go to bed, I'll start a playlist and then I'll let it play all night. It's always so funny because you go into YouTube Studio and you'll go to your hours and it's always a good 150 hours off from what's actually to be monetized versus so it tells me I'm going to need 800 and
we should be able to get you them
820 hours, I think.
Okay.
I don't know. But then if I go to the other section, let's see if I can find it. I bet it'll be, the 1 year. I don't know if you ever go look at the difference here. Wendy's the one that told me about this. See, it tells me I'm only 700 hours away.
Yeah.
So it's funny.
We should be able to get you monetized. That's not.
I'm close.
And with me, I had my hours. And the first 3 months of my channel, I didn't have the subscribers.
That's awesome. Probably because those that found you really liked you, and those are the ones though.
I was shocked. I just reached about 2 weeks ago. I reached my 100,000th view. 100,000 views on my little. I'm like, that's crazy. But I don't. I should say only. I have 1,389 subscribers because I'm obsessive and I check it every day. That's why I know.
I had to get a hold of Renee at Pike Creek Farm. I don't think is she in here. I don't know if she's
I did
still
see her
in here or not. But this morning I was like, because she was excited because I don't know if you remember her. She did her haul,
Yep.
$100 collab haul video earlier in the week or last week maybe. Anyway, she was like, I think people really like it. I might, people are enjoying the video. And I texted her this morning. I go, I was so excited about my video that I premiered it as an instant premiere earlier than I had it scheduled
I
to
know,
go
and I
out.
missed it as a premiere when I went to check my YouTube. I'm like, she
I
premiered
didn't
it.
schedule it. It was instant. I was like, hey, I have to wait to go do some other project. I'm just going to do a premiere for fun. And then I can talk to people if they're on. If they aren't, they aren't. Otherwise, it was going to go a couple hours later, just as a regular to go live. But
I don't know how long I'll be able to stay, because if she got kicked off, then I'm probably not far behind. Because usually the person who is hosting the stream, if they lose their connection, even the
wow, I have
you are.
no idea. And my computer just shut down, so I don't know if we lost internet for a second or what. So I'm glad.
Yeah, and I'm surprised I stayed here, because usually the person because you've got the link, usually the person. Yeah. So I just can't believe it's not me, because I have the world's worst internet, but I'm not on Wi-Fi. I connect directly when I do my lives. I connect directly to the internet, so I don't. I have a better signal. So yeah. No, I know with me, I've done one premiere and I loved it, and I'm planning when I unveil our finished garden build. That's going to be a premiere. I think.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. It is fun. I've just got to figure out the timing of when to do it.
I know.
I did an instant premiere at 10 a.m. my time the other day, and I had a bunch of people show up, and it was just an instant one. And so I was like, okay, this is a good time. But usually that's a very busy time for chores for me. I just happened to be at my mom's house.
Yeah.
And so it was crazy.
I know the timing is so hard, because daytime is easier for me, but I know evenings is better for most people to watch lives or whatever. But it's like, but daytimes are even, can be. I mean, I get to a busy point, but I mean, they can be. But and when you look at that little chart, and YouTube will tell you when your subscribers are on. And so I'm like, okay, I'll start scheduling my videos for these times. Yeah. Not once has it worked for me. I'm like, supposedly everybody was on at this time and nobody has seen my video.
I had that happen too, because I used to let my videos go live at 6 a.m. every day. And I found I was getting pretty instant views. And I think a lot of my local people were watching me while they were getting ready for work. And so I was like, okay, well, then I heard that, people on the coast couldn't, it's way too early for them.
Yeah.
And because it's like a 2-hour difference. And so I tried to do it, like at 8. Well, that must have still been too early. And so I was like, okay, well, 10 seems to be a good time. Just like my lives were always at 4, but then that was too early. People were still working. So then I went to 6.
For me, it's just crazy. I did a video today, and I did an experiment. I aired it at 3 my time, 3 o'clock, just to see. It did sort of okay. I find mine do better the second day.
Yeah, I think sometimes it takes a minute for it to be seen.
And people are busy, they're busy and stuff. So my husband my husband said, you can't please everyone. He said, put it out when you want to put them out. If you want to put them out in the morning, put them out in the morning. If you want to put them out in the afternoon or the evenings, do it. So I will say Sunday mornings for me are my best. I put out something Sunday morning around between 8 and 9, and woo, my analytics go right through the roof because everybody sees it. So
well, anyway, I was saying how before I got cut off, I was like, and then my people must have not liked it. I lost somebody. And then I texted her like a half hour later, I lost another one. Well, I said, I'm going to quit watching this. I'm going to quit looking at this. Well, I happened to look at it while I was waiting on the canner, and I'm back up to where I was yesterday, which is a number up from. So everybody I lost must have come back.
I lost and gained the same 10 people since January today is the first day I'm one more than I have been since January. I sometimes it's YouTube cleaning up things, and
Must
if
be.
people don't comment sometimes within a certain amount of time, they'll unsubscribe you without you knowing.
Oh,
So,
wow.
even if you just go in and put a smiley face on somebody's video, something, just comment.
That's good
Because
to
if not,
know.
I've gotten
That
unsubscribed
makes
and I've
sense,
had,
because there are people that I used to pop up and I'm like, I haven't watched a video for them. I wonder if they're okay, and I'll go
yeah,
to their channel and it's like I've missed like 50 videos.
yeah, they probably, yeah. So that can be that. But I'm trying to, I think it's because we don't have a 500,000, subscribers. So when you lose one, it hurts.
Yes, I know. It's like, what did I do wrong today?
Yeah. It's like, what was so bad about that video that I lost 3? And it's not even necessarily that video. It's just the timing of
I
YouTube
think
cleaning up
so.
their
It was
whatever.
just really funny because it was like right after I premiered and then I lost one and then half hour later lost another one. I was like, they really don't like it, but maybe they did, because I was like, I was kind of excited about this
I
video.
thought it was great. I've been loving this collab. It has
Yes.
been such, I mean, I love grocery hauls and budgets and things anyway, because I'm that kind of
Uh-huh.
nerd. But I love seeing, like, it's so much fun to see what people are getting for $100.
Yeah.
Some people are doing pretty darn good, and some of us aren't doing so great.
Well, I was worried that maybe my attitude towards the grocery haul was offensive to people. So if any of y'all are my friends and you follow me on here and I offended you, because I said I looked at it a little differently. I looked at it as I have $100 to spend, because I think it's okay every once in a while to splurge
Yeah.
and get fun foods and try
Yep.
new things
Yeah.
every
And
once in a
I think
while.
it's fun for people to see, oh, she didn't just get everything she had to have. She got herself a couple and, fun things. Because I did too in mine. There was a
Yeah.
couple things in mine that we don't always buy, but that I made a decision that was going to be my $100.
Well,
So
and I knew well in advance. You invited me a while ago, so I was able to budget ahead of time and, have
yeah,
that money to play with. I mean, we still definitely got things we needed and we were going to use, but
I think you did
um,
pretty good. And I will say,
yeah.
we were at our first Aldi's ever last summer when we were over in the States taking my mom back to fly home. I loved it. The cheese prices there are insane.
Oh, I know.
We got home so much cheese.
Someone commented on my thing that it would have been like 8 something for the cheese that I got in
Yep.
Canada.
Yep,
Yeah.
it would have been that pack, because I mean, literally, it was when we were there, it was $2 American last summer. Even in Canadian, it didn't even come to $3. That amount
Wow.
of cheese is 8. If it's off sale, it's between $8 and $9 here. So
Oh,
even if
wow.
I pay 3 Canadian for it, yeah, we brought home a lot of cheese and froze it. They must have wondered at the register, what are these
It
people doing?
freezes well. It
It
does.
freezes
So,
great.
yeah.
So yeah, it's been really fun. And I think, and I think the common thing that everybody has pretty much said is everybody's paying more for everything, no matter where you live. It wraps up. It was supposed to wrap. I'm actually going live on Saturday to wrap it all up and talk about my thoughts and what everybody did.
Okay,
But
so everybody mark your calendars on
yeah,
Saturday to go to her channel.
7:30 Eastern time.
I'll see while you keep talking. I'm going to try to find a link to your page. So you keep
Okay.
talking about the collab.
Yeah. So I think the comment, like, it is just so 7:30 Saturday night. I'm going to wrap up everything. It should have been the last video, but there was some scheduling things. A couple of people had some problems, so the last one actually is going to be the 30th of April, but which isn't a Saturday, so I can't wrap it up because I usually go live on Saturdays. So, but I think, the common thing I found that everybody is paying more, no matter whether you live in the United States, no matter if you live in Canada, no matter where you live in the United States or where you live in Canada, everyone's finding they're paying more than they were. I'm finding we're paying more than we were just 6 weeks ago.
It shocked me when I
It's
went.
not going down.
Yeah. Because I, like I said, I really haven't done a lot of grocery shopping myself. My kids are going and getting their own things for lunches and stuff, but I've been eating out of my freezer and stuff.
Yep.
And so I
Us too.
haven't done a lot of big shopping trips.
I'm
And
hoping after the busy season, like maybe later in this fall, I'd love to do like a 6-month checkup and all of us do it again and see if prices are still, if we get more, if we get even less, it'd be really interesting to see, because here in Canada, they've told us that for the first time in over a year and a half, our inflation rate fell. We're at around 4%, yet our grocery bill went up 10% last month. So I'm like, if inflation is down, why are our groceries so high? So I'm sorry, I don't believe it's inflation causing the grocery prices anymore. I don't. I really believe it's greed. There are some things, I think, because of weather, because California's been, just massacred with their weather, and we get a lot of things from them. But what about the things that aren't coming from California? Like, why? Like, the prices are just, if our prices went up 10% in 1 month, yet inflation fell, it's the lowest it's been in a year and a half, then why did our food go up? It makes no sense to me. I mean, I'm not a, mathematician genius or whatever you call the, I'm not, but it just doesn't make sense to me. And I wasn't going to go quite as big with my garden this year, because last year I went way big and I got overwhelmed and it was a lot. And I found myself, and you know what? The prices are just so high. I'm going to do it again.
Yeah. Yeah. You won't regret it, because if you can too much or freeze too much or whatever, next year's harvest may not be as good. And then you'll have that.
Yeah. And that's what yeah, exactly. So I'm doing pretty good. We're down to, I think, our last 2 bags of frozen bell peppers, because bell pepper for me is like everything. I love bell peppers. Love them. And I grow a lot of them because we have them usually sometimes 3 times a week with meals, depending on what I'm making.
Yeah.
So I know I need to plant a few more. My goal this year was not to plant as many. It was to go for, I'm hoping a small amount will give me more, because I'm hoping if I can really put all my love and attention into the smaller amount of plants, they'll give me more than just planting. I planted 205, I think, bell pepper plants last year. I lost a lot because we got organic soil.
You had them then, because you lost them. If you would have had, 20 plants.
Yeah. We had, I bought organic soil, and everything I planted in that soil died.
Really? Very interesting.
I think it was, I don't think it was malicious I think it was contaminated just, by mistake. Because I seen a lot of people complaining about it last year.
Yeah.
On YouTube.
I think I did hear that.
Yeah.
So Michelle was awesome. She saw I was struggling because I couldn't get it I kept trying to copy the link, and I couldn't get it to work on my computer. It kept bringing up this little yellow thing and trying to go on a search button. I'm like, no. So Michelle knows me well enough. She's one of my besties. We talk several times.
Good.
She could tell I was struggling. So she got that up there. And by the way, I'm sure she's sliding out if she hasn't left already. I'm going to go ahead and say this real quick, because in about 2.5 minutes, she's going to go live.
Oh, okay.
We are done here. I always ask everyone to just slide on over to Big Valley Living.
Okay.
Share the love there with them. So I want to do that because she's my mod always for my live on Wednesdays. And
Suburban Hibble, you're right. Everything does go up except the paycheck. And I don't know if you all watch but we're having a huge union strike here in Canada right now. 155,000, over 155,000 workers are on strike, federal workers. It actually affects David's job because he works with a lot of civilian workers in his job on the base here in the military. It's an absolute mess, and they want more money because they said, hey, we are buying stuff with 2019 wages, and yet it's not 2019 prices. And I feel kind of two ways. One, if they get this huge raise they want, it's more of us, because at the end of the day, we're actually your bosses because we're paying your paycheck, the taxpayer. So it's coming. And the other thing is you're not special. We all are paying more for everything. I mean, not to offend you, but we all are paying more, and everybody deserves more in their paycheck. But if we do that, they just raise the prices of everything.
Hey, Michelle, put the link to your page before you leave so everybody knows.
I was going to say, that's a good idea. Yeah.
since you're still here. My sister has, and my mom was a teacher too, but I don't remember her talking about it a lot because, as a mom, you don't let your kids know when you're worried about
Right.
things. But my sister has talked about how they had done a pay freeze for a very long time with the school. And so it's just everywhere.
Yep.
That's what they do. Thankfully, it didn't happen. This was all stuff that was happening before the pandemic
Right.
era. But it was always so funny because the administration didn't have the pay freeze. They
Of
still
course
got
they
their
did.
raises each year, but the teachers had to be on that freeze,
And
which
I don't know about there, but the administrators here make 3 figures. It's
I don't know.
crazy.
I was just like,
Yeah.
the only thing I could say to her was, you're not the only one in that boat. At least your
Yeah.
coworkers are in it with you.
Yeah. I know for me, this is why garden season needs to start because the news drives me crazy. It literally works me up. I get upset. I get mad. My husband's like, why do you watch it? I'm like, well, we need to be informed. But
Yeah.
I do go through long stretches where I don't watch it because I do get, so I'm like, I need to be in my garden. That's where
Yeah.
I can de-stress and and with this new build, I can't wait to finish it. And we're going to have a little bench in there for me. And I'm going to sit in there with my tea in the morning and talk to my plants growing. And
There's something very peaceful about
oh,
being in the garden and getting to touch the earth. I don't know. I'm like you. I feel closer to my creator.
yep,
God and that's our time,
yep,
where I talk to him and
yep, I do. I
yeah.
pray. I pray over my plants too. Like literally when I'm starting them and when they're growing, I'm like, I say a little prayer. I'm like, Lord, please let this plant grow and be fruitful to help feed us this year.
Yeah.
Because
Well, actually she was in the chat earlier. I don't think Gail's here anymore. Didn't she say she had to leave? She actually shared that she was doing that this year too.
Yep. No, I do. There's just something about it. It's just, I don't know. I mean, when by the time September rolls around, you're pretty worn out and you're like, oh gosh, but I have that little break, but I find by January, I'm already jonesing for it again. Like I don't need, the whole winter. I just need maybe November and December, get through Christmas. And then January, I'm like, okay, let's garden.
So do you have a pretty good growing season? Because I know like here in the States, there are some of us that have a way longer than the other.
Yeah.
Like in Florida, my friend, she can have something all year round, even
Pretty,
something,
now it's my turn.
Yeah.
I'm can you get her please? Sorry. I don't know if somebody's here or what. I don't know who would be here at 8 o'clock at night, but we're such party people. 8 o'clock at night.
I had a live, one of my first lives I did when I was doing the freeze dryer collab, I think. And I had some stranger I was in the farm stand and some stranger walked in and I was just like, he didn't know that was a little store. He'd never been here before. It could have been a mother-in-law suite out there, and because it looks like a little house. And so I was just like, it was weird. It was in the middle of the live. It was crazy. So, then Tanya over at Low Family Adventure, she was a guest on one of my lives, and she had someone peeking in the window. Come to find out it was her husband, but we were all so scared.
Yeah, that is. Yeah, that's weird. I will say, I mean,
weirdo.
Yeah, no, I'm looking out my window. So if you see the strange guy behind me, that's just my husband.
Okay. Oh, that's funny.
But my growing zone that I'm in right now, we're 5B. Our last frost date is May 7th. That's what it's predicted to be. So I always give myself almost another week from that because the last couple of years we had snow in June 2 years ago.
Oh wow.
That was still weird for us, but so I will say I'm actually, because of the way our seasons are going, we can garden later than we used to be. It used to be by Labor Day, pretty much everything was done, but we're finding we can go. We have Thanksgiving in October here. I think it's Columbus Day weekend for you guys, but it's Thanksgiving for us. We can go past that now with some things. Like we can go right up to almost Halloween now, which we never used to be able to. So my plan this year is I'm actually planning a fall garden. Like I'm specifically saving some things because we find it's great for a little while, but when things start to grow, they bolt on me because we go right from spring to hotter than
that is
summer.
too. That is,
and that happened last year. And so my cauliflower, my broccoli, carrots, a few other things, I'm going to plant late spring to plan, or late summer to plan for a fall harvest this year, because it gets too hot here too quick, and then I lose everything.
I found that if I do zucchini in the fall versus the spring, the bugs aren't as bad either.
Yeah, and I think Luke and my gardener even recommends it because, like you said, your pest is so much less. Because they're gone. They've died off.
And zucchini are so prolific that you're gonna get plenty to put away still in the freezer.
Yeah. Some of my, I think the crookneck squash, I have to look again because this is my first year growing it. I think that has to be in the summer. I don't think that one can go into the fall, but I'll double check. Maybe that is one that can. I gotta double check because it is a new one to me this year.
Well, like butternut squash, I think it needs a longer growing season, so it has to be sown sooner.
So I'm gonna have to start that soon, I guess. Then inside, I actually was so smart. I had this chart. I've been doing everything, and then all of a sudden, I realized I forgot to start 3 things. I don't know how it happened because they're right on my chart, but somehow.
I've done that before. I used to garden by the moon or whatever. I would watch, what is that? Old Farmer's Almanac or whatever. Yep. And then something came up with Garden by the Moon. So I kind of followed that chart back when I used to have a nice, big, huge garden, which I haven't in years. And I don't see me getting to do it anytime soon either. But it was always kind of fun to do it that way.
Yeah. Now, because I never know what we're going to have. Like they always say, I mean, we usually plant. So our long weekend in May is the weekend before your long weekend in May. We call it May 2-4 here. It's Queen Victoria's birthday because we're in Canada and everything's about the darn royal family here. So that's usually the weekend everybody will start planting. Is that weekend. Now, in the past, that's been great until last year when all of a sudden everything went cold on us. Like we had freezing temperatures and I'm out there scrambling, trying to cover up everything I could with whatever I had, because bell peppers and tomatoes do not like going below 55 degrees. No. And it was going to go down into the 30s.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah. And we're like, it's June. And then a week later, Angela, it was so hot here, you couldn't breathe, and it stayed that way.
You had any plants at all?
It was a struggle. And then watering last year, I would come in here just like in tears because I was so exhausted, because it would take me 3 hours in the evening to water everything because we just weren't getting. It was 100 degrees Fahrenheit. Things were like drying up like crazy, so I'm having to water every evening almost. I'd take off like the next day, but by the 3rd day, you had to water again. And so that's why David, he's like, I hate seeing you struggle. And that's why he came up with this plan and what we've been building. So I'm working smarter, not harder, as he says, because cancer's left me with a lot of lovely gifts. And I do struggle with some limitations. It doesn't stop me because I'm stubborn. And I want I want a garden, but I pay for it a lot in the evenings, like a lot. And he's like, no more. We're going to find a way that you can still do what you love and not get hurt so much. So that's why we're doing this build, even though we know we probably won't be here maybe in 5 years, but who knows, right?
So the garden build, are you making like raised beds? Yep.
I've had raised beds the last couple of years, but we added on and we put them all in one area because they were kind of scattered all over. We've put down really good weed cloth. Like we spent a little bit more money this year. A little bit. We've scaled back some because the price of lumber is just ridiculous still here. But so that part's all done. We're going to finish getting all the dirt in them, and we're building a structure around them with netting and everything, so no critters can get in, no voles can get in. Like it's been a lot of work, but I can see it. It.
Oh, I'm happy for you.
So
that are higher than normal.
That was going to be the plan. He wanted them like waist high for me, but again, it's just so much more work, and we're kind of running against the clock too, because we're going into May soon, and I need to have these done. So maybe down the road or the next place we go or something, we'll definitely have to do them up like as a table. I will have to probably go to that eventually. They are higher than they were. Like even raised beds are higher than just the ground.
Yeah. Well, I've seen some people like say, "Oh, I have raised beds," and I'll look and it's just like one timber. And to me, I don't understand that idea other than maybe they're putting extra soil to amend. But if I want something raised, I want something raised. You know what I mean? It's for me, because we have good ground here that we can grow things. So for me, it's more of a not wanting to have to bend over to weed and all that stuff, or getting on my hands and knees and
mine are my steel raised beds I got from Amazon, and they're about this deep. So by the time you put the soil in and then the plant, they're quite a ways up already. They really are. Because I was out there pretending. I'm like, okay, so if the plant is here, and I'm like, I do feel a difference. It does feel different, you know. So I said it's already better than it was. It's still not 100%, but it's so I'm happy. I'm happy, and I, you know, just
that's exciting.
Yeah, it is. And we're picking up the 2x4s this week. And I'm excited to show you. We're going to be doing a burn technique on them where you burn.
Ooh.
So you don't have to stain them, because I don't want to stain and paint them, because I don't want that going into my soil when we put things into the ground or whatever, you know. So so I'm really Aiden's excited to help with that, because
I bet
torch. We're going to be a flamethrower. So that might lots of safety equipment will be happening on that day. But so I'm really excited. We were hoping to get it done this weekend, but tomorrow's our only nice day, and we still have to go pick up the rest of the lumber. And then we're supposed to have rain for 5 days, so I'm kind of panicking a bit. We might be building in the rain.
You could work on it in maybe and kind of torch it before you build it. I don't know.
We're gonna torch it before we build it. I'm hoping we can get to that tomorrow as much as we can before it rains, because then it has to all come back into the garage and stay dry. So but I'm like, really? Rain? I mean, it's spring. I get that. 5 days in a row of it. So the conference is supposed to be really nice, though. I looked ahead, and we're supposed to have beautiful weather next weekend. And Aiden has a big track meet, his first track meet next Friday too, and it's supposed to be nice. So hello. My raised beds are 18 inches. I'd say, hold on. How tall are my raised beds? Would you say 18? No, somewhere around there. I can tell you it took
24 inches out there too.
Yeah, it took 25 liters of soil to fill them.
I'm sure that's not cheap either.
Well, I will say we got a fabulous price on it. $1.47 a bag.
Oh, wow.
It's really, it was Canadian, which is important because we're in Canada. So I want soil from, here. And and it's beautiful black earth. It's really nice. It has that, people think I'm crazy, but good quality dirt, really beautiful dirt. It has a smell, like a good, it has a, when it's a good, rich
quality.
Yeah. And because my son thinks I'm crazy, he's like, "What do you mean it smells? It smells like dirt." And
so
I'm like,
I have to ask you, do you like patchouli?
In small doses. I don't.
My cousin's favorite scent is dirt. Like when you start up an old car and the dirt comes out in the air conditioner when you haven't had the air conditioner running. And she loves patchouli. And I think patchouli smells like dirt. So I was curious to see if, since you love the dirt smell, if you like patchouli.
Yeah, it's not my favorite. I mean, and I find sometimes that I smell it, people go by and you're like, "Whoa, I think they poured on them."
But I sell a lot of patchouli soap. So
okay. Well,
love it. So yeah.
But so we have a lot to do in little time. So, I mean, I guess there's one blessing with this strike and everything. David's had to work from home. So we were able to get some things done through the week because the weather was going to be so bad on the weekend. So There's silver lining there, I guess.
Yeah. That's good that you can try to find that positive way.
Yeah, because we did buy so much soil last year, but like I said, I wasn't using that again because I don't know what was in it or what, but something was bad about it.
Yeah.
But I spent a lot of years amending the soil here and bringing it back because the people who used to live here, we never saw dandelions on the lawn. I never had worms. I actually bought worms from the bait shop the first 3 years.
Wow.
We lived here because there was no worms. And he's watching something. And
oh my God.
good grief, he's trying to turn it down. He kept turning it up. And then the last couple of years, I dig one little shovel and there's like 10 worms, like in a hand.
Oh, I bet that just made your heart so happy.
Yes, it does. And I hate it in a way because we did put stuff down over all that dirt for the raised beds. But what I did was I saved all the worms. Every time we dug up worms, I had a big, huge pot of the dirt ready. And I've been throwing them all back into the raised beds because they'll tell you won't get worms in raised beds, and they're wrong. My raised beds last year were full of worms.
Really? That's awesome.
Yeah. So
make it crawl up there. I mean, my gosh, they climb trees.
Yeah, exactly. So I had one climbing right out of the pot. He was at the top of the pot, touching down to the bottom, and I'm like, yeah, you go back in there.
Get back
so in there. But I think the former owners having a beautiful lawn was more important to them than anything. And it took a few years and it's come a long way. So now I'm seeing a few dandelions. So dandelion jelly will be coming up soon.
Yes, I love dandelion jelly. And I got myself a new cookbook off Amazon. It's Depression era, I think. And there was a dandelion wine recipe in there. And I remember my aunt talking about that. And I was just like, that's so funny. I don't know. It hit me.
Yeah, no, last year's my first year making it, and David loves it. Like, he loves that of all of us the most. I like it, but I mean, he loved it. I said, well, I'll be making that again, and I'm going to try lilac this year for the first time because we have my grandmother
do that too.
Yeah, we have a lot of lilacs on our property. Some I planted in honor of her because my grandmother loved lilacs, loved them. And every time I see them and smell them, I think of her. So I'm going to try it. Apparently it almost has a fruity taste when you make this into jelly. So I'll make a small batch just first, make sure. And then before they're all gone again. Yeah.
Let me know what you think of it. I've heard that people do clover too.
Yep.
All kinds of different things.
And wild violet. I think there's wild violet jelly.
Okay. Yeah, I have seen that one. Yeah. Very neat.
Bev is saying all her beds are loaded with worms. I know. I don't know why they say that. Oh, you won't get any worms with raised beds. I don't know what your raised beds, but if anything, I would think they would love them because the soil is so rich and amazing there, and no critters are coming up to eat them because I've got the wire mesh down there too. Because we have a vole problem here. We never used to.
I found out we do too. They didn't bother me the first few years I gardened because there hadn't been a garden there ever before. But now, oh yeah. But I have found that 2 of our dogs have decided that they don't like them, and so they've been getting them, and I'm like, get them.
Yep.
First, I had a rabbit problem, and we got rid of the rabbit. Well, I mean, we still have them here, but they keep them at bay now.
Yeah, the rabbits can't get into my beds because we have the way we have it all set up. So I'm like, hey, you can't get into them. We're copacetic. You guys are fine. The chickens take care of the voles for me. They killed 2 this winter.
Oh, that's awesome.
Like, well, if you're dumb enough to go into their coop, you get what you get.
I don't know. Mine don't seem to, they don't seem to go after that kind of stuff very much. I guess they might sometimes, but mine are just spoiled or something. I don't know.
They didn't eat them, thank God, because I said, I don't know if I could eat eggs knowing that you ate a vole.
Oh, they just killed it? Okay.
Killed it. Maybe we came across it too quicker.
Nice. Not here on my friends.
Frogs.
Oh, yeah.
Ours have 8 frogs. You'll see the poor little froggy legs swinging all around because they're running around from one another.
Oh my goodness.
That's why, isn't it a hoot when you see in the store these eggs and only fed vegetarian diet? And I'm like, chickens are not vegetarians.
Well, I can guarantee if a bug went across their way, they're gonna get it.
Exactly. So yeah, no, we had the last 2 years, and the problem with the voles is we didn't have a problem because we had a snake problem for a long time, and the snakes kept care of the voles. I am petrified of snakes. Gracie is terrified of snakes. Like, she won't even go to the front of our house once the warmer weather starts coming. And the first few years we lived here, the first year, David got rid of 32. The second year, he got rid of, I think the first year was 28. The second year was 32. The third year, he got rid of, I think, another 30 or something. Like, it was insane amount. And they're not poisonous. I get that, but they terrify me. Like, I just don't like them. They scare me. But the last 2 years, we've barely had any. I think we finally have got it. And when I say David got rid of them, because he won't kill them, because David loves snakes, he rehomed them.
So, my son was going to rehome one for me. My husband's come back in. He's wanting me to help him at the field, so I'll probably have to go.
Yeah, that's no problem.
But I got brave enough last year to kill some snakes because they were eating my eggs, and I caught one and I'm like, sorry, you're not getting rehomed. You're going to go bye-bye.
Yeah. I mean, I'm like, can you kill them, please? He's like, no. He says they are good. They are. And I'm like, look, I have a deal with them. As long as I don't see them, they can live here.
Too. They can live in my garden shed.
That finds them.
There's a huge snake skin in my garden shed, and I'm fine with him being there as long as he's not bothering me. I'm fine with it. You eat your mice.
Yes.
But when I had 20 chicken eggs out or turkey eggs. I had 3 mamas sitting on 20 eggs. The other day I checked, there's like 2 now. And so I'm like, I don't know if the snakes are back, or I put a chicken in there that was eating my chicken eggs. But I thought the mama's sitting on them, she wouldn't get
keep her off them. Yeah, you would think.
Shells except one time. So I'm like, it's a critter of some sort getting them.
It's gotta be. Yeah.
So I'm like, are the snakes back already? I know I've got some mice or something down there because I'm seeing some holes in the ground. So
yeah. Do you have raccoons in Kansas?
We do, but those dogs don't keep them.
Oh, okay.
I mean, we can't. I haven't seen a possum or a coon or a fox around here in forever because the dogs do their job. And
it might be the legless one then.
Yeah, I know. I'm worried about that.
Those must be really big snakes to be eating chicken eggs.
Well, those are turkey eggs, which are
turkey
even bigger.
Eggs too. Yeah.
So no, the black snakes that I got last year were easily 4 feet long and probably that big around. I had to be brave. I was like, the first time I was like, I got my son and he helped me.
Yeah, I get eaten a lot.
One, and then we killed one. And then I had a little boy and thankfully he wasn't too bothered by it. He's a autistic boy, and he would come out to the farm, and that was part of his schooling because his mom tried homeschooling for a while. And he came out, and I was like, I looked at his mom and I go, I gotta find something. I'm gonna hold the snake and you go get something. So she went and found me a pair of scissors, and I took it off, and then I was like, sweetheart, I'm gonna be right back, and then we'll get to chores. And I took the snake off in a bucket and to the creek. And I started puking because I was so scared. I've never done anything like that before. And I had to compose myself, and I went back and I'm like, okay, we can give the ducks their water now.
We have it's where I grew up, the little garter snakes were small and they were gray. These ones here in Ontario, they're jet black, and they have like a little colored stripe down the side of them. They're terrifying. I'm sorry. And they get huge. Like, I mean, even David, a couple of ones he took, he was like, well, the one I got was like this big around.
You wanting to go to the field?
But
Farmer is very anxious.
Okay, I don't have my lights on, and it's probably getting harder to see me here.
Yeah. Well, this was great. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me. It was so wonderful.
We'll talk to you later. Bye,
Yeah,
everybody.
have a great weekend, everyone.